As soon as you show them what you're getting ready to show them and they recover from their minds being blown, they will definitely have questions. So,
Awesome.
welcome,
Let's do it.
Renee. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to see you too.
Yeah. So, I've been playing around with Brand Pod. Super, super impressed, by the way. Super cool. I'm really excited to not just because, I got my account set up. I think the onboarding process was great. I thought
Really?
it was
Okay.
very thorough. Yeah. I actually, interesting enough, I actually started crying when I was going through the process because the information that I got, it was just so, it was right on, but I think it also made me think a little differently about my customer and maybe my goals for the future, like how I can be more of an asset to them. So it really was, it's so cheesy to sound like I was crying with ChatGPT. But I thought it was really, really good. It was very thought provoking, and the information and the output was really good.
I'm super happy to hear that because that is a custom GPT right now until we build this into more of a podcast voice interview style into the system. But
Mhm.
it's designed to do that. So I'm actually super excited to hear that. And I don't think it's cheesy at all because when I started building my personal brand, I didn't know what to talk about. I didn't know what stories to pull out. Like, do I pull out my deepest, darkest stories that are going to make people cry? Do I talk about like more what I feel like are robotic things in my resume, like the companies and brands I worked with? And I realized it has nothing to do with either of those things, right? And that's probably the process that you went through. It's not so much about your most emotional, heartbreaking story, and it's really not about your resume. It's about who you're helping and why you want to help them. There's something that drives all of us to show up. I mean, being an agency, being an entrepreneur is not easy. And there's something that's driving us to keep showing up and doing it anyway. And we need to unearth what that driving force is, and that becomes your personal brand.
And I think it's a really good opportunity, software aside, it's a really good opportunity to be very thoughtful of what it is that you're doing. And I thought it was really cool to tell my whole story because oftentimes people will say, give me an impactful moment or something, but I've had many of those, many
Yeah.
failures, many lessons. And sometimes it's really hard to pull all of that together. And then once you pull it together, how do you then translate that to your customer so that they understand I've been there. I know what you're trying to do. I want to be that support system for you. So all of those things that we often think about in our business and when we're trying to build our brand slash reputation, same thing.
Yeah.
It can be super overwhelming to pull all of that together. So I'm really excited to hear more about BrandPod. Now that I have all my accounts set up, I want to know, how do I use this thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to get into it. Let me know whenever we're ready to go.
Yeah, go
And
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Let me
While you
go.
get that pulled up, I will say I'm going to put the link to BrandPod. You guys can actually create a free account using this link. And for those who are watching on the replay, it's myvisionagency.com/brandpod. And I'll put that link in the description of the video. Go ahead, ma'am.
Usually when I do this presentation, it's half slides and half demo. But you and I have been talking about how your community likes to nerd out and you want to see more of the demo, less of the slides. So I'm going to go through a couple of slides just to set the stage really fast. And we're going to get into the actual platform quickly here.
Yeah, we love to get right to the goods.
Um, yeah, somebody's asking for the link. Looks like it's in the chat.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I got
Okay,
it.
perfect. Okay, so you can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, so before we talk about why and what we're building, let's talk about why we're building it and why branding, to me, is one of the best things that you can do, not just for your business, but for yourself. And it doesn't matter if you're an agency. I think most of you here are agency owners, but whether you're working with, founders, whether you're working with employees of a company, it doesn't matter because right now I think more and more people are realizing that brand-led growth is what is going to sustain them as AI and automation take over everything, right? So when we talk about brand-led growth, let's talk about what that actually means, right? And by the way, as we're, going through this, I've got the chat open. I'd love to see what you guys think. Like, what is brand-led growth to you? What does it mean to you, and why? What are you hoping to get from this session? If you can post it in the chat, I'd love to see that. While you're doing that, actually, let's just go with let's talk about what brand-led growth is not, right? So there's sales-led growth and there's product-led growth. And the first time I actually talked about this, Bridget, was at Level Up 2024. So you might remember a little bit of this. I know it's been a while,
I
but that was
do.
the first time I like really went deep into this subject. I live it. Excited to learn more. Awesome. Okay, so sales-led growth is when your sales come in through your sales team, right? Now, there are a lot of companies who have grown really big. And interestingly, again, back in 2024, I was talking with one of these companies. I don't want to take the name on because I don't have permission. But they're a very well-known company in the social media marketing space, and they grew really quickly. And I was talking to one of the guys that works there, and he was saying that they grew so fast because they had some rock star salespeople on their teams. Well, those rock star salespeople, first of all, they were rock stars because they were doing things in a certain way, and because they were rock stars, they didn't necessarily want to share their secret sauce with anybody else. And so that is often what will happen in a sales team. There will be some rock star salespeople, but they won't share their secrets with everyone else because they want to, otherwise they lose their edge. And if they leave, sales go down. And that's exactly what happened to this company. So something to keep in mind: if you are sales led, you want to make sure that you're not setting yourself up for failure if those salespeople ever leave your team. Product led is what a lot of people in the high level world are doing, right? We talk about features and we talk about functionality and all the cool things that high level can do for us, do for our clients. And that is very product led. Meaning, as long as you're wowing people with features, yes, you'll have sales, yes, people will come in. But as soon as you have a feature that maybe isn't as powerful as you thought it was when you announced it, or those same features that people bought for now don't work very well, which we've seen happen in the high level world, you'll get a lot of churn, right? So both of these approaches, the risk is high churn. Okay. And that's where brand led growth comes in. And I'm just talking about brand as a whole. Bridget, I know that you probably know this already because we've had a few conversations. You know that I always talk about business branding and personal branding as two separate things.
Mhm.
I'm talking about branding as a whole right now, right? So brand-led growth is when you present yourself, you present your offers, you present your company through the emotional connection and the relationships that you're building with your audience, right? So it's more about your stories and your values rather than features or, sales pitches or this discount or that promo, right? So when you build that emotional loyalty and trust, that's when people buy from you because they're buying a piece of that vision. They're buying from your brand, meaning if a feature doesn't live up to expectations or a launch doesn't live up to expectations or an offer falls flat, they will stay with you. They're not going to churn as easily because, again, they're not here for those little things. They're here for the overall vision that you've already sold them on. So you have much, much stickier, loyal customers in the long run, right? So when we think about brands, we really think about these kind of companies, right? These are some of the logos and the brands that come to my mind. But if you think about it, none of these are really about the logos or their colors or anything like that. We don't go and walk into an Apple store because they just released something that Samsung hasn't already released and it has all the latest features. We've already bought into their ecosystem. I mean, I'm an Apple user, right? We go in because we've already bought into their brand vision of technology being an extension of yourself. And all of these brands in their own way have sold you some sort of story, which is why you go to them. Starbucks doesn't have the best coffee, but I will always choose a Starbucks over a local coffee shop, and that's just me, because of the experience that they have in their cafe. We had friends visit us from Vancouver, Canada, over the Christmas break, and we were talking about exactly this. They came in from Vancouver. They actually hate Starbucks, but when it came down to like, hey, where do you want to go hang out today? We chose Starbucks, and we were talking about the cafe experience that a local coffee shop usually doesn't have. So that's something that you want to think about, whether you're focused on your business or you're focused on your personal brand, which is more of what we're going to be focusing on today. But that's how you want to think about it, right? That's why it's so important what Bridget, you were just talking about, which is really unearthing your own stories, your own why, so that you can lead with that versus the latest cool tool that you've either built or you're selling or you just discovered, right? It's all about your why. Like, why is this so important for you? Why you, right? And a company that is going all in is Lovable. And I think, does everybody here know what Lovable is? Like, anyone here not familiar with Lovable? I know you are, Bridget, because you built a lot of really cool stuff over the break. Yes, we know. Okay, a lot of all caps. Yes, we know. But yeah, so Lovable, what you may or may not know about them is that they just launched, I want to say November 2024, unless I'm wrong about the exact time, but it was somewhere towards the end of 2024. Within within 8 months, they were at $100 million in ARR, annual recurring revenue. But that's not the part where your jaw should drop. It's the next thing I'm going to say. 4 months after that, so within the first 8 months, they were at 100 million ARR. 4 months after that, they were double of that. They were at 200 ARR, $200 million ARR.
Wow.
Crazy,
That's
right?
crazy. Yeah.
Their head of growth, her name is Elena Verna. I just discovered her because she did this amazing podcast. If you are interested in it at all, Bridget, I'll send you the link. But if anyone here is interested, just Google it. It's all over the internet right now. Amazing podcast. There's so much to take away from it. I think every entrepreneur, every agency can take a lot away from it. But something that I thought was really interesting as I listened to the whole podcast was how she always talks about Lovable's growth has been amazing, but it shouldn't be a benchmark for anybody because they have not been in control of their own growth. For them, it was all about building something that was a new, it was a new, there was a new market for it. There was a new need for it. They got product market fit without even trying. It was just the timing of it, right? Yes, they built a good product, but it was more the timing of it. It was the market need. They got product market fit without even trying. And what she says is the growth has been there even before she joined, before anyone really knew how big this was going to be. The growth was already there. All they've been doing as a team is trying to get out of their own way. So reduce friction in the onboarding process, in getting people to start using the product, and just get out of their own way and hang on for dear life. That's literally what she says. It's all been out of their control. But there's only one thing that she mentions, and she mentions this very briefly, but of course, me with my branding brain, I picked that up right away. She talks about one of the only things that they have been in control of is how they have built their brand. Everything from the name Lovable, right? It's hard to not love something that's called Lovable, which is, I mean, I'm jealous. I wish I thought of it. But it's built, it's not just the name, they've literally infused everything that they do within the company as they build a platform. Their brand is infused into every part of the platform. And that is how they work. They ask their team every day when they're releasing a feature, is this lovable? And that is how they've infused their brand into the entire platform. She was talking about how she's the head of growth there. She has a lot of growth experience, sales and growth and marketing, but no branding experience. And she actually says, I feel like after having worked at Lovable, I could now walk away and call myself a branding expert. That's how brand first they are here. Yet people who are building on Lovable aren't really thinking brand first. They're just going and like starting off ideas, which is great in a way, like that we can build our ideas that quickly, but it's not brand first. And I really think that's doing a disservice to all the users on the platform by not giving them a way to actually build their own products brand first, right? So let's talk about personal branding and how all of this now relates to a personal brand, because that's really what I want to talk about. In the past couple of years, just the last 2 years itself, according to Google Trends, the search for a personal brand has gone up by over 400%, which means that as AI and automation is taking over, as people are building all these crazy AI clones, I mean, sorry if anyone here is building it, but I just don't think that's the future. I think that's a great way to kill your personal brand in the long run, right? Because people are looking for that humanity, for that authenticity, which is why your story is so important in the first place. They're not craving more AI clones. They're craving you. They're craving human to human connection, right? And this is reflected in people who are realizing that their only moat is their personal brand, and they're looking to see how they can do this, right? So with that, let's make sure that we're talking about the right kind of branding as I show you some of the stuff that we've been kind of working on our end. Is business branding is what people usually think of when they think of branding, right? Your logos, your colors, your messaging, all of that. Your personal branding is more about your story, your experiences, your expertise, your unique perspective on things that other experts are probably talking about in your field, but what do you have to say about that based on your story and your expertise, right? Your credibility and your relatability. I was on a very big, I'll say a big webinar yesterday with some very big personal brands. And somebody asked me about all the noise out there, about all these other experts talking about AI clones. And it put me on the spot because some of these people who are talking about AI clones are much, much bigger than I am right now. They have a huge audience, right? But I know I've seen the trends change. I'm looking at actual data and I can tell you people are not looking for more AI, they're looking for more authenticity. And that's who they want to buy from,
I
right?
agree with you 1,000%. And I see that as well. If you look at the comments on any AI video, they're loaded with people who have nothing nice to say about AI. You're speaking my language, girl. Keep going.
Awesome. I love to hear that because I love people who kind of see this like I do because it just
Mhm.
makes me cringe and I don't know, just not sleep well when I see all the people who are falling for this. Like you need an AI clone to survive 2026,
Yeah.
right? So with that, again, branding, and we just talked so much about Lovable, they're infusing their brand and everything to do with the platform, which is definitely something you want to do. But I really think that brand should first come from us before we start building that into our software and the things that we're building. I love Martina says, I feel so empowered right now. I want to cry. I'm glad. And that means that this is speaking to you. And that means you have a story that wants to come out, right? So I'm hoping that you'll find that story through this whole process as well. So one more side note before we actually get into the assets and how we're going to build each of these things out. Um, Somebody reached out to me about how people at Microsoft are actually looking for someone to come in and help all of their executives and leaders build personal brands. There's a role for that now, right? So again, if you're wondering, like, is personal branding really something that important? I had somebody ask me, like, on a podcast recently, like, what would you say to people who are just starting out? Like, they just want to get their first few sales in, right? Everyone starts from somewhere, but if you build brand first, it's going to be a few more steps up front. But the people that you build, that you bring in, the first few sales that you make, those people are more likely to stick around if you've already sold them on your brand first. And that's what you really want, right? You don't want to make your first few sales and then lose them. So, okay, so with that, let's talk about what a personal brand is. And usually this presentation is pretty long and in depth into everything that we talked about. But again, I promised you that we're going to jump into demo mode. So that's what we're going to do. When I've spent a lot of time on like, how do you break down a personal brand? Because it just feels so nebulous. It's so hard to define, right? What makes you a thought leader? So this is kind of the stuff that I've been talking to a lot of other people who have built personal brands in 2024 and 2025. This is something that I went through and I compared notes to see what are people building in terms of what can you categorize as assets, where you pretty much build them out one time and then you update them as and when you need to, kind of like your Facebook picture or cover photo, right? You build it once, but then unless you really want to come in and update it, you don't need to do this every month or every day or every week. So you build out your personal brand assets, and then you have a flywheel, which is the part that is ongoing momentum, right? You create content, you get featured on the right podcasts, on the right stages. If writing is your thing, you know, how do you actually get published in third-party publications? How do you get your name out there? How do you get your story out there? How do you get your viewpoint, your thought leadership out there, right? So there's the flywheel that needs to be done consistently, and that's the part that starts to pick up momentum. But then there's also the assets. And when people really get into this personal branding stuff, they find that nobody's like spelled this out to them. So they get very lost and, oh, but I also have to do that. Oh, I have to do that. Like everyone comes in thinking, oh, I just have to create content. And then you realize all the different things that go into it. So that's why we're breaking this down. The good news is with AI, you can vibe code all of your personal branding assets, right? And with deep research agents, you can automate a lot of your flywheel efforts. The whole content, making sure it's on brand, making sure you're actually creating content that your audience is searching for. Like that's what we're going to look at today. That's the power of deep research agents, right? But let's start with the first one. Let's just start with your personal story, right? Again, these are just names to kind of help you understand all the different parts of your story, but let's look at it in action, right? So this is Brand Pod. This is Bridget, what you were talking about at the beginning of this session. And this is can you guys still see my screen, by the way? I know that when I come out of like full screen mode, it suddenly changes.
Yeah, I can see it.
I can like zoom in a little bit because I know I've been told that when I do that, it suddenly becomes really small. So this is the platform that we have been working on, and this is our own platform in full transparency, but this is where we've taken what people are doing. And I know you're a big user of Manus as well, Bridget, but we've taken specifically what people are doing in Manus for their personal brands and trying to understand what their audience is actively searching for, and deep research on what other people are saying, what the gap in the market is, and how you can position yourself. So where personal brands are concerned, I see a lot of people doing that in Manus. Now, people are also doing that in ChatGPT, and I'll tell you that if you had to pick one, please pick Manus. Manus is actually going to give you actual data. ChatGPT is going to hallucinate its way through answering your questions, which can be very dangerous. Okay, but let's talk about the assets and the flywheel so that it kind of makes sense, right? So when you first start out with BrandPod, the first thing it's going to do is, and let's go into edit my goals. This is obviously an account that I've already created for myself. It's going to take you through these questions because it wants to unearth all of this stuff from you, right? So when you're just starting out, it's going to give you this option to use a custom GPT instead. And if you click on that, it's going to take you into a custom GPT on ChatGPT. And this is not designed to do any deep research. So don't try and ask this part, questions about your audience. This is literally designed just to help you work through your story and identify the right stories and experiences to tell, right? How do you explain your why? This is what you want to lead with. It's also going to, I designed it to be about 20 to 30 minutes long, but I've had people spend like 45 minutes to closer to an hour in it because it just unearths a lot. And so it really depends on how long you want to spend in it. But what it's going to do is it's going to ask you a series of questions conversationally to pull out those stories. And then it's going to give it to you in a format that you can copy and paste and upload from a text document back in here. You can just upload it, it will scrape it, and it will pre-answer all of your questions for you. If you wanted to kind of just go through it in a Google Doc, you can also go through the template. And so I'm doing this to show you how easy this is, because a lot of people look at this and go, oh my gosh, like a whole survey. I don't know if I want to do this right now. By the way, quick side note, if you do hire an agency to do this for you, so if you ever work with a branding agency or a PR agency or a marketing agency who does branding, they're going to ask you all of these questions. They're going to send you a Google Doc or a Google form or a type form, and you're going to have to work through this anyway. This stuff has to come from you. Okay. What they do after that is all going to be automated. And again, you're going to have the power to do all of that stuff yourself very easily. But these are the questions, these are the basic questions that you really want to work through. Okay. These are some basic questions up here about just what language and who you're building a personal brand for. But this is the part that's going to lead into your story and your goals, right? What do you want to be known for? What's an unpopular opinion you hold? And again, if you go through the custom GPT, it's going to pull out all of these answers for you.
And I highly recommend that you do that, because like when I was going through this and I would get to, just let's use number 4, for example. What's one thing you want to be known for right now? I had no idea. And I'm literally just chatting with the GPT, and I'm like, I have no idea what I want to be known for, I guess. And then I just start ramble talking. And then somehow it pulls in from what I said, like, oh, what you're trying to say is this. And I thought, oh, that's genius. That's exactly what I was trying to say, I guess. So yeah, I highly recommend the GPT over just trying to answer all the questions.
Totally agree. And by the way, we have a ton of users already using this. And I've actually heard this from many users so far that they wanted to just get started quickly. And so they went through the survey and just try to answer it as fast as they could. And then they took the time to go through the custom GPT and they were like, we're going to have to run our agents again because this was like a whole different level. So yes, start with the GPT. I promise it's worth that 30 minutes to an hour that you end up spending. It's totally worth it. So this is the stuff it's going to uncover, right? What do you want to be known for? What's an unpopular opinion you hold about your industry? What are the events and experiences? So this is where it's going to start to unearth some of those stories. And again, like Bridget, you said, it's not just one thing that led to this. A lot of people who get up on stage, I've noticed that they have this one big event, and I don't have that event either. And that's what I really struggled with for a long time. Like, how do I don't have a story like that. But it creates a story from all the little experiences that you had along the way to get to where you are right now. So who do you want to work with? This is, of course, a very common question, right? Who's your target audience, basically? What do you wish you could tell everyone? Again, these could be hard to answer, but if you work through the custom GPT, it's going to unearth all of this. Okay, it's going to ask you questions about your offer. Keep this one at the back of your head because we're going to look at how this actually uses it when we're vibe coding stuff. So what is your signature offer? Would you like to speak on stages? So the rest of this is mostly about what your goals are and what you've done so far. So it can get you on track. Okay, so let's jump back into this. Once you do that, you're going to send your deep research agents off. And there's multiple of them. Each of these is from a different agent that goes and runs and scours the internet. It will scrape hundreds of thousands of URLs in your industry to get you the latest information. And by the way, depending on which tier you're on BrandPod, it'll either do that automatically for you every week or every month. So you don't have to come in and ask it questions like you would with something like Manus. It will automatically do that for you to make sure that you have the most current information about your audience's search terms and content consumption habits and what events they're going to and what podcasts are ranking high in your niche, specifically on Apple, by the way. So anyway, so while it's doing that, you get to go into your settings. And this is the part, Bridget, where I was saying that we are actually working very hard on improving the entire onboarding experience. So it's going to lead you through this. So once you have your agents running and you're just waiting, because some of them happen in 5 minutes and some of them take 3 to 4 hours, right? What you can do is actually start building immediately. So your brand profile is what will help you build your personal brand website. Okay, so that's something you can start building as soon as you have your settings updated. So if you come into your settings, you'll be able to, first of all, drop in all of your important links, your social media links, if you have a calendar booking link, if you already have a website, if you don't have one yet, that's exactly what we're going to create, and you can pop it in here when you're done. Okay, so you're going to put in all of your links here. You're going to go into your brand kit. Now, I am a big believer, and you'll hear me say this over and over again, that when it comes to your personal brand, your logo, your colors, fonts are not important. So why do we have this in here? It's because, again, when you're vibe coding, we don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel every single time. If there's a color scheme that you prefer, we want you to be able to add it in here. So every time you build, whether you're building your keynote slides, whether you're building your lead magnet, or what I like to call brand magnet, because it's specifically for your personal brand and to get people into your actual business offers, or you're building a personal brand website, right out of the box, we wanted to use your messaging, your story, your audience's data, and your colors and styling preferences. All of that just built in, right? This is so aligned with what Bridget is sharing with us. I'm truly excited. Awesome. I know Bridget and I had a conversation about this, just last week, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were both aligned. And so that's why I get excited to share with Bridget, with you guys, because I know you're all on the same page, and it's a lot more fun for me when I get to talk to, other folks who are kind of on the same wavelength. So anyway, you put in all your styling things. I like light mode. So it's just, these aren't the prettiest colors, but it's just what I've been using, right? So I like pink in case it's not obvious. I like my light mode, and I use a lot of purple and yellow. So that's what I have in here. Okay. So once you have this in here, you also have a media library where you can upload. I've only uploaded images, but if you have a video, which I actually need to do, I have a video as well, you can upload all of that in here. Okay. I don't know why it's not showing me a preview right now, probably Zoom, because I've noticed every time I'm on Zoom, it doesn't show me a preview. So anyway, it should show up on your end. Once you have your images and everything, and you save your media in your media library, now you can start building and start pulling in these pieces whenever you want, right? So if we go into the vibe coder, now we have a personal brand website builder, but because it's designed, our MVP, this is really our MVP right now. The platform is designed to help you build your brand assets first. So because I know we're all agencies here, if you're thinking about like, well, how would I do this for a client if I just want to do something quick and maybe get them to even sign up with me before I have them, before I build them a whole BrandPod account, you will be able to do that, just not yet, because this is designed for one personal brand website for now. Okay, you'll see that these things are still in beta, but I'm going to show you what vibe coding in this platform looks like in general. It's going to be very different. How many of you guys are already vibe coding in something like Lovable or Bartlett? I know you are, Bridget. Anyone else here? Charles is like sold.
I think some of them are. Some of them
Yeah.
were they've been kind of waiting for my training that I just did last week, but I'm very big on teaching them not to chase every shiny ball.
I
And
agree.
so if they need something right now, this is what I'm always preaching. If they need something that Lovable, for example, is going to solve, do it. But
Yeah.
if not, let's focus on income driven activities.
I 100% agree. Yeah. And the problem also with something like Lovable, it's so powerful that people can get lost in it, right? So by
Yes.
the time you've gone through all the custom GPTs to validate your idea, build your prompt, build your PRD, now you've plugged it in. Now there's a whole new world that just opened up to you where you get to tweak and get really nitty gritty, and you don't know at what point you want to stop and let that be your MVP versus keep building, right? You can get really lost in it really fast. I've built several SaaS products in both Lovable and with other tools. Awesome. Okay, so you know the process that goes into like building that prompt, validating your idea first, building out a prompt, and then like kind of nudging it into place, right? And if you have your specific styling, that you prefer, your preferences, you have to tell it for every new project, right? So this is going to take away all of those things because we really want you guys to build brand first. To me and to our team, like that is, there's never been a more important time to build everything brand first. Okay. So you'll see that it did this for me. I wish I could show you from scratch. I might have to reset my account just to show you how easy it was. Bridget, did you build your personal brand website already?
I did. I rebuilt it in high level just because I
Okay.
wanted to, and I wanted to provide the template for my community members. But yeah, I mean, it built it super like fast and easy. I really didn't do anything to it. And then I just took the design that it created in the copy and I just rebuilt it in high level.
Perfect. I was gonna say, so we've had people, a lot of our users actually use high level on the back end as well, and they're like, okay, I want to either put a URL redirect and just point it to my domain, which is housed in high level, or I want to build this, like rebuild this in high level. And I always tell people, you use whatever platform you prefer. It's gonna host it here. So if you don't want to complicate things, it's gonna build it really fast for you. It's gonna take in all of this stuff, so you don't have to vibe code it. You don't need a prompt. That's basically what I'm saying. You don't even need a prompt. All the prompting you needed to do. So prompt is really just context. And I think that's a big misconception in the AI world right now. Everybody's prompt hoarding because everyone thinks that it's this like precious gold mine of like tools that's going to help you build stuff fast. It's really just knowing the right context. And that's what makes a prompt good or bad is do you have the right context in your prompt?
And
That's the stuff that is, yeah.
even if you do want to rebuild it in high level or any other website builder, just having this all pulled together for you, all the copy written, everything organized, having like a visual representation of what it is that you're trying to build, at that point, you're just going into high level and copying and pasting essentially.
Exactly, exactly. So what this builds here, by the way, is it's been zero editing except for me telling it, hey, can you pull in my images? And if I do that, if I say add in an image, wait, let's just show you guys how cool this is, even if I do say so myself. Add in an image. I can also use the voice prompter, by the way. Right under the hero section. Let's just make this faster, right? So you'll see that because I'm asking it to add an image or a video, it's gonna pull up my media library right here. Okay, I don't have to go host it somewhere else, get the link, and then tell something like Lovable where to find that image. It's gonna just pull up my media library and be like, cool, which one do you want? Right? I'm gonna be like, let's add this one in, right? And this is not gonna look good because it's gonna be out of nowhere, but let's just do it. But all of this stuff, it's added in based on what I've already told it. Like these are the places I've spoken at. And so it's just built this little carousel of credibility markers for me. I didn't ask it to do anything. It already knows best practices for a personal brand website. It knows what hosts and event hosts and editors and depending on who you're targeting, it knows what people are looking for, and it's already built all of that in. And from here, if you want to change some styling, animation, whatever, you can do it. They're just added in. It's the wrong format, so all you see is my thigh. Awesome. But this is where I can now, start to get nitty gritty with it. But you'll see how easily it just pulled in stuff from my media library, and it can just pull stuff in. Right. So it's got my story and everything, all of these hooks and everything. It's not like I have to go into ChatGPT to build any of this stuff. It's taking everything from my custom GPT work and my survey answers. Right. So my milestones, my story, it built this cool little animation all by itself. And again, my story, right? It's all like very story driven.
It had that effect on mine too, and I had to use Manus to replicate the animation. There were a few things that I had to use Manus to replicate all that. And it definitely was a time-consuming process, but my intention was I wanted to provide a template for the
Yeah,
community.
yeah.
But if I did not want to do that, I would have easily just kept it built in here and, like you said, redirect or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of folks will do that. They'll just host it in here. So it lives in here. If you ever cancel your account, it's not like we will kill everything that you've built. We still continue to host it, by the way. So you lose nothing by building it here and keeping it here. So yep. And then this will automatically connect to my calendar because I already have that in my settings. But yeah, you'll see that everything is already, already in here. So this is just linking to my calendar because it was in my settings. It just automatically pulled that in. So you'll see that I don't have to actually tell it, like, put in a calendar booking button, make it, on brand, make it link to this URL. Like, it doesn't do any of that. It just does it out of the box. And then from here, you can get really crazy with it if you want to. Okay, and similar to Lovable, there's a code mode where you can edit, actual code in here. And then we have the UI editor, which I believe Lovable calls the visual editor. That's releasing this week as well. So you'll have a lot of the controls in here already. Okay, let's see. Let me go back into, hold on, let me just go back into the Vibe Coder. So let's actually build something from scratch. What do you guys think? I think we have just enough time to build like a quick lead magnet from scratch.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so these are all the what's it called? The suggestions it's giving me based on what it has found from the research agent. So actually, let's pause on this really quick. Let's go back into the research pods because again, we can do all this while our agents are still running, right? But once it's found the ICP research, which happens within the first 10 minutes of setting this off, so by the time you've built out your, you've added your settings in, you've updated your settings, you've added images and videos to your media library, you've built out your personal brand website, if that's something you want to do, you will have this stuff ready to go as well. Okay, so some of the stuff that it's given me are, I'm switching a little bit to the flywheel right now, but you'll see why. So the research agents, again, every single week, it will automatically run and tell me what my audience is searching for. These are their actual search terms, which the AI has identified has something to do with what I do. Now, some of them are going to be on point, some of them are not going to be on point, and that's just what you get when you build with tools that are trying to find what's similar to what you do. Okay, so you'll see because it knows I talk about thought leadership and personal branding, these are the things that it's found. Now, am I going to be able to do anything with people looking for a branding agency in Vancouver? I'm not in Vancouver, so no, right? But how to stand out as a founder in business? I could write a ton of content. I could build a whole keynote strategy on this topic, right? So you'll see these little create content wands that come up as you hover over anything that the research agents have pulled up for you. And I can come in here and create multiple pieces of content at any time based on any of these search terms. So when I say create content that's on brand, that's what I mean. I don't mean have it always talk about your story necessarily, or always, have the right colors or whatever, or the right emojis, but really talk about what it is that your expertise is and your specific unique value is in term and relate it to what your audience is actually searching for, right? Answer actual questions. And that's going to help your SEO as well. So if I say create content, it's going to take me into my content workflow. And now I can be like, yeah, create a blog, create a newsletter, create some Facebook posts out of this topic. And it's going to do all of that in my brand voice, right? If I say continue, it's already, because it's already in my account, it's going to scrape my answers from the survey and already build me a brand voice. But if you guys if you want to build additional brand voices, which are your personality, your writing style, you can build all of that in, which I've already done, already in my account. So that's going to automatically pull in here, right? And I'll see all of my other custom brand voices here. So I can choose whatever I want to, or I can pick something that's just one of the default options. What it's done here, and this is really cool, it's pulled in the search term, the phrase that I pulled in and I wanted to create content on, but it's also pulled in as keywords. It's pulled in all of the other parallel search terms that we can now use as keywords. So I can take out probably, I'm not in Texas or California anymore. So I can just take out this stuff. But I've already got keywords that my people are actively searching for. My audience is actively searching for. So it's already pulled in who my audience is. It's already pulled in everything else that I need, and I can just click buttons and it will create it for me. But in the interest of time, I said I'm going to walk you through creating a lead magnet. So let's look at that first. Okay. I'm going to go back home actually here. I'm going to look at my monetization strategy, because lead magnets, brand magnets, they're really about once you've built a personal brand, or once you're actively building one, how do you monetize it? Right. And the way to monetize it is by building these little lead magnets or brand magnets that you can have a QR code to whenever you're presenting, or whenever you're talking about your business, or you're at an event, and then have people come in through your personal brand, but actually get directed into your paid offers. And then they can see how they can actually work with you. Now in here, I'm going to go into brand magnets, and it's giving me, again, data based on the actual data it's collected this week from my audience's search terms. It's telling me what are some good lead magnet ideas. So you can already see that these are pre-validated ideas, not based on ChatGPT's hallucinations, but based on actual data. Okay, now I can if I can expand this, I can see what its predictions are with how well it aligns with my ICP, my ideal client profile. How well is it going to build me as an authority, right? What it expects the conversion rates to be. Now, this is obviously not going to be a hyper accurate. It's just using, again, data out there to see how similar things are converting. And it's giving me that data here. Okay, it's giving me a whole idea of what it wants me to build here. If I like it, if I like the idea, I can do one of two things. I can either vibe code this idea now, okay? Or I can generate a PRD, which means if I still want to build this in Lovable, it's going to create that for me here, and I can copy and paste that entire prompt and PRD into Lovable, and it just creates it over there. Now, obviously, our intention and full transparency is to replace that need to go into Lovable for these specific use cases completely. So that's where we're going. But again, if somebody has something more complex that they want to build that we don't currently support, that's also an option. It just, and this is built in a way where we have my husband and the CTO, who's an ex-Amazon engineer. He's the one who's built these PRDs. So it's got all the security and scalability issues that usually are missing from these PRDs for Lovable and other platforms. It's already built in. Okay, but all of these ideas, okay, the brand magnet, the white label personal branding revenue growth calculator, thought leadership potential diagnostic, scorecard, all of these things are what it's telling me I can build. Or if I have my own idea, I could do that as well. So let's say I want to build this blueprint generator. Okay, let's just say I want to vibe code it. So I can vibe code it right inside the platform. Now, unlike other tools, you're going to see that this is all brand first. So everything we build here is always going to be on brand, and it's going to be out of the box. You don't even have to think about it. Okay, so it's giving me all of those ideas that we just looked at right here. So we said we wanted to build the blueprint generator. So let's do that. Let's say continue. Okay, now it's going to ask me a few questions so that it can build that prompt for me on the back end. Okay. So based on the strategy, it's recommending a quiz. Now, again, because this is our MVP, it only does quizzes, calculators, assessments, or graders. There are going to be more things that you can build as we release stuff over this month. Right now, these are the things that it supports and does a really good job with. So I can say go ahead for the quiz, or I can say no, build a calculator or something instead. Let's do a calculator. Okay, so now that's gone. Yeah, any questions so far, by the way? I feel like I'm going through this really fast.
Do you want me to go ahead and upgrade them to a panelist, and then they can?
Yeah, I mean, we can build and do Q&A all at the same time.
Yeah. I know it takes a few minutes to generate stuff.
Yeah. So it's even before it generates, though, while you're pulling them up, I'm gonna walk you through the questions that it's asking. Okay. So now it knows what I want to build. It knows the format I want to build it in. It's now asking me, do I want to link this to my offer? So remember how I said keep that offer at the back of your mind? So now it's already pulled in my offer details. I can edit this here if I'm like, no, I don't want to have this offer. I want a whole different offer that I didn't put it in the survey. I want to add this in here. I can edit this in here. So you see how this is all UI based. This is not about you need to go and create your prompt or ask ChatGPT to create this complex prompt for you before you can even get started. So it's asking me, it's found my signature offer. Do I want to add it as a CTA at the end? Do I want to use it to drive the questions? Do I want to do both, which is the default option, or keep it standalone? Let's say I'm building this for a client and I don't want this to actually link to my offers. I can do that as well. Okay, so in this case, let's just say both and continue. It's going to make sure that it's understood everything that I've asked for so far before it goes ahead and just builds it. Again, no prompting. It's not going to give me a prompt to copy and paste. I don't need to put in a prompt. It's already building it on the back end as I answer these questions. Okay, it's going to say ready to proceed. I'm going to say, let's just say go ahead, go ahead. And it's going to ask me one more thing that I'm going to show you guys really quick before we start getting into Q&A, so it can keep building while we do that. Did you see this, Bridget? I thought you might like this.
Oh, the webhook. I didn't get that far, but I do absolutely love it. And just for
So
those of you who aren't really getting what's happening right now, when you add a webhook here, what this means is that if you have something that you want to send data somewhere from this, that means you can send it to your high level account using that webhook. You can also create a trigger in the workflows to generate the webhook and then put it in here to pull in that data directly into your high level account.
yeah, and we show people how to build, create a webhook in GHL all the time. Bridget is the best person to ask if this is something that you're doing for yourself. I know that you're more than familiar with that. The cool thing about this, though, is that in something like Lovable, you need, like, I see a lot of people sharing the exact prompt that you need to use. You don't need that in here. Again, you just create the webhook, you put it in here. It's an optional field. You just copy and paste it in here and keep building. I'm going to skip that part because I don't want to actually have this connect to my high level. But yep, there it goes. Now it's going to keep showing me what it's doing, but we can get into Q&A.
All right. You guys feel free to raise your hand if you have a question for me or Raheen. Charles?
For hello.
Hello.
So first, I'm really excited. I've been a fan since Levi, like since the beginning. And so one of the things, actually, I was thinking about this while you were talking. I was like, I actually probably use not just the software Levi, but the concepts that I learned from Levi, especially like playbooks and things like that, like every single day. So I'm such a huge fan. And then this product that we're looking at right now, I think is phenomenal. I mean, the fact that so you're saying it basically searches and pulls up different things that we could basically present to. I know that was like earlier on, like when I saw that piece, that was mind blowing to me.
Awesome. Love that.
Charles, how do you think that you would use it in your specific business? I think use cases are really, really good for
So
people to
so
hear. And I
so
know your brain's exploding
yeah.
right now.
So like okay, so like even me going off of that, what that does is it enables me to look at different areas where I can present and speak and then get my thoughts out. That's something that's really important. One of the things that I know from conversations that I'm having with clients is they appreciate me. And at the end of the day, too, it is a brand first type of sell that I have. It's not about the product. It's just not. They're comfortable and confident that no matter what the situation, if we're partnered together, which is terms that I'm hearing from the clients, they're like, hey, we're happy to be in partnership with you. So if I can have the conversation one to many, not just from a sales perspective, but from a marketing perspective, then that enables me to garner more clients and increase revenue. It's very simple. So using this tool to identify what those things are on a monthly and a weekly basis cuts down the workload of trying to sit there and research. I don't have to do it. The agent's already done it for me. That part is phenomenal. Then on the back end, what we just saw in regard to the monetization standpoint, because I'm real big on that. I like to create content. So and going back to the 4 hour work week, well, what type of content are we going to talk about and how do you make that different based on your brand and your voice so that people come to you? Because at the end of the day, it's not about, like you said, it's not about the text, the missed call text back or the count. It's not about that. Nobody really cares. They're buying you. So, do I want to learn from you? Do I want to work with you? If something goes wrong, am I willing to work it out with you? And if our values are aligned, then we're going to do that. So I like um, the fact that it can help you identify content. And what it's also doing is doing the research based on your target market to make sure that the information is pulling back. You're looking at the top things that people really want to know about. In my mind, I'm thinking like answer the public, right? So it's pulling
Exactly.
that
Yes.
information in and providing that to you. It's also, helping you cancel a subscription. I'm also thinking about those types of things at the same time. She's right, my brain explodes. And so then on top of that, what we have with this particular piece is you can take that content, and once you have that content, you think about, well, are there different trappings or lead magnets that I can create off of that. And so whether it's a calculator or a quiz, because I talked about this in this particular presentation, and now here goes the quiz or the calculator or the tool that you can use independently on your own, right? And so you have a situation where the client has it's called know like and trust. So they developed a know like and trust because they went through you from an experience on a brand standpoint, and then they turned around and they become educated, right? Which is also what you really want. They've educated themselves, and then they're using the tool to help solve whatever problem that they are bringing to you. It's a tool that's branded and you present it to them, and then that information is going into your CRM. So then you already have the answer to the question, and so the sale is kind of like automatic. They
Mhm.
just got to get in front of you. This is the first time that I've ever seen this presentation. This is not a paid. I'm not a paid endorser of it. I should be, but I'm. We talk about that later.
Yes, we'll talk later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my quick, analysis off the cuff.
Yeah, I
I
think it's
love that. And
really,
you,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
sorry, Bridget, I was just gonna say you just said so much good stuff. Like I could do a 30-minute response just to that because you just said a lot of stuff that's been in my brain. So first of all, how cool is it that clients, when they work with you, they already are thinking about it as a partnership?
Mhm.
Like I'm seeing that more and more, and you mentioned that, and it's a beautiful thing that we get to have these relationships with the people we work with. We're not just another cog in their wheel. They're not just another number to us. Like we're building these relationships. And can you imagine if you replace yourself with an AI clone, like how you just crush all of that,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yep.
No, it's
right?
it's it's amazing. And I mean, I have clients, especially in my industry. It's an industry where people don't wait, and they sit and wait for like days to weeks to get on my calendar. It's crazy.
Amazing.
But that's
The-
brand first. Brand first.
Yes, absolutely brand first. I don't think you'll find that with anyone who isn't building a brand, whether they realize they're building a brand or not. If you take a look, the people who are winning, the people who have clients wanting and waiting to work with them in a world where you can find 10 people to do the same thing or more, or find an AI tool that's going to do it for you. If people are still waiting to work with you specifically, it's because you are doing something right with your brand, because that's what they want to work with. The other thing that you said, Charles, is answer the public. When I was getting started and we hadn't built this yet, I used to use a lot of answer the public. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is going to make me sound really dumb. I struggled to make sense of what to do with that data. Like it gives me all this data and I'm like, what should I use? What should I not use? How do I turn this into content? How do I turn this into ideas? Like it looks like something I should be using, but I would just stare at it and go, I don't know what, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do with it. Right? This is already
Uh-huh.
parsing the terms that you need that you can literally pull right into your content. It's not going to use the broken English that you find in the actual search term. It's showing that to you, but it's going to clean that up and write in your brand voice with your expertise, with your viewpoints, and it's going to write on that topic. Like,
Mhm.
so when you guys heard that sound, that was basically telling me to come back in here and check out what it built for me. So you can see that I haven't done any prompting at all so far. It's just built this based on the things that I answered. And my kind of boring, I know it's my colors are a little bit boring. I just like a lot of white and pink. But you could change that in your settings or you could change that for a specific project here, right? So what it's built for me is this blueprint where I can come in and just add in my current annual revenue. It's already added in some placeholders for me, but let's just go with the placeholders, right? Just to see how it works. So it's basically 100,000 in annual revenue. Average deal is like 5,000. Sure, we can change that, or we can just go with whatever it's suggesting. Brand consistency. What do I think my consistency is? And then after I've done all that, it's going to calculate my score. So it's giving me a score and it's going to tell me in my full report, here's what I can get. So here's where it captures the email, turns them into a lead. So let's just put in some information here, right? Get my full analysis. And now it's given me an authority score of 0. Oops, and it looks like some of the data is missing, which we shall see what just happened here. Once in a while it does do this and you just have to rebuild it basically, but it's, you can see the way it's thinking. Again, you don't have to tell it like first do this, then do this, then do this, right? You can just, it's just done all of this. And again, now because I said add my CTA at the end, it's added a calendar booking link for me. It's added my offer at the end for me. It's basically given the report and it's done all the things that you would normally do in a lead magnet, but usually other tools, you have to spell out exactly how you want to do it. It's going to build something that's already built out, and now you can go in and edit it as much as you need to.
I love it. You know what I love about this, Rahin, is that you're teaching that it's like somebody said in the chat, it's exactly what I'm always teaching too, is that we're using AI to its max capability for all the things that we do on the back end, which allows us more time to be present as a human being. And that's what our customers want to see. I guarantee right now, for all of you guys can attest to this, if I swapped out some way showing up every day at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday, if I swap that out for like an AI bot or something to do it would not even, nobody would show up. Everybody would be super sick of it. And then I wouldn't
We'd
have
be
any,
blowing up the community, Bridget. We'd be like,
yeah.
Bridget, someone has taken over your account. Please go get them. We need to talk to you.
Yeah. And you know what? I also would be separating myself from the thing that I enjoy the most in my business. So it's like, we want to show up. Most of us start businesses because we want to do the things that we love to do and serve the people like us. And so if we're not showing up and we're just putting out there these AI generated videos, we're not building a brand. It's like all of this stuff Raheem is showing us is how important it is to build a brand and how we can use AI to streamline those processes. We're not replacing ourselves. We're just using AI so that we can be more ourselves. We can be more present with the people that matter.
Exactly. And by the way, we built this because of the trends and the data that we were seeing from our audience, where people are searching how to build a brand, how to build a personal brand. More and more people are searching for it, but the tool just doesn't exist. One single tool that does it all for you just didn't exist. And so we're doing exactly what we preach, which is find out what your audience is actively searching for, where there isn't a good solution out there, and then build it or offer it, or through a service or a product or whatever that may be.
So we have literally 2 minutes left. Does anybody have any other questions? Oh, Charles's hand flew up. Charles?
Well,
It's not really a question. It's just that the part that I really love the most is the client research. Like I don't, and like I have a marketing promotion background as well. So like I don't know if everybody really like that's it. Like that, hands down, like that's it. That is like everything else is actually very great from a delivery. That's it. Like that is the bread and butter. That's the key, because if you do not have that, you do not have anything else.
Hey,
Like point
Ruhin,
blank period.
I totally agree with you, Charles. But Ruhin, will you talk a little bit, just real quick, about like what's happening in the back end? Because they're all techie enough, they understand. But I want them to understand it's not like it's sending a message to Chat GPT. You know what I'm saying? It's not saying, hey, what's the most popular videos? And then it's generating a response. I want them to really understand like the in-depth things that are happening on the back end.
Yeah, and if you guys want a really techie answer, our CTO is here hiding behind the Dark Lord screen. But before it just logged me out. But before we get in there, I want to make sure that, Bridget, I did something special for your audience without even asking you.
Cool.
And if anyone has to jump off at exactly the right time, I wanted to make sure that I at least share this. We did a 30 days free with unlimited. We actually have unlimited credits for everyone on our platform until the end of the quarter. But for you, especially Bridget, we wanted to do a 30 days free because we want your audience to just use it and tell us what you guys think.
Yay, that's awesome. You guys, if you don't dive in there and use every single credit that you can possibly
Run our bills up,
yeah,
please.
now is the time. And you know what? Honestly, you guys, even if you just create the account and then you go through that onboarding process, you'll be blown away by the things that you'll learn for sure.
So the onboarding process you get to do for free. So the way it works is you go to the website, you go to the link that Bridget shared in the chat, you sign up for, or this link right here, and then you sign up for your free account, right? Even if you want to upgrade, you have to first sign up for the free account. You go through the survey. On the top right, you'll see an upgrade button. So whenever you're ready to upgrade, your research agents on the free account will just run once and it won't run again. So whatever plan you kind of want to try out, the pro plan will always obviously have all the bells and whistles. The light plan has a little bit, it's also really powerful, but it has a little bit of a smaller tool set, but it has everything that we just talked about. Both those accounts have free credits. So if you want to build your personal brand website, you want to build things in there, just upgrade to an account, to a paid account, and that paid account is going to be free for 30 days. You can, yeah, we also have a 30-day money back guarantee. So if it's like, oh, it charged my card, but I didn't really want to continue. We're not here to, yeah, that's not how we run. So absolutely risk free to try it out. We just want you guys to see what it's like to build brand first. So I hope you'll try it out.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys, if you do all this, let me know tomorrow in our session. I want to hear your experiences. I want to know if you cried like I did.
I want to know if you cry like Bridget did.
And we'll share it with you. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Ruheen, for joining us and going really deep into branding. You're such an expert at branding, and the fact that you put your brain, and I know your husband, he is super intelligent too. So you guys are like a power couple combined to really create amazing things. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you all for joining us, and I will see you all tomorrow. Go make your vision a reality.
Hang on, Bridget, before you end it. I know you
Okay.
asked a question that I didn't answer, and Charles was also reminding us in the chat. But what it's doing on the back
I'm so
end.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
Charles is like, wait, I saw his face too.
Wait, give us the goods. I'm so sorry. Forget everything I just said.
So again, if you want a more technical answer, Kunal can give that to you. But I will tell you what it's doing in a short version, right? So what it's doing is it's deploying these agents that are, again, I mentioned this briefly before, but it's scraping the internet. And the way it's doing that is through APIs that look for what your audience is searching for, not just on Google, but also in all these different LLMs, which have now become the place where people ask questions. Right, so we use a couple of different APIs. The one that we use the most, and I'm happy to share it, is this one. It's exa.ai, I believe. And you can check it out so you can see exactly what we're using on the back end. We do have a couple of other ones. This is the main one that we use, and they just changed their website. This looks different. And you can see how many other platforms are also powering. Okay. And what they do, so basically they go through and they find search terms from these different LLMs, and what we get back are the actual search terms. So that's how our agents, again, they're scheduled to deploy automatically every week or every month, depending on your plan. It'll give you this, it'll send you an email that your data is there. So that's the search data. Now it uses this search data to understand what you've already told it about your audience, who they are, what they're searching for. Now it's got that data. Based on that, it's going to go and find all the different URLs in your industry, right? What podcasts are coming up on the iTunes podcast library? Which ones are ranking the highest? Which events are coming up that the audience that you told it that you want to target, based on what they're searching for, which events are also targeting that audience, and where are they already getting pulled into how can you speak there? So it'll not just something that I kind of just showed, but I didn't really talk about, is if you go into, and it does this for podcasts and publications, same thing, but it'll show you all the events that are coming up in your industry that your audience is searching for, that are targeting your audience. because I'm very active in high level. I've spoken at Level Up now for 2 years in a row. So it's giving me Level Up 2026 as my strongest fit, obviously. But it's going to show me other conferences and things that are coming up as well. Some of these are online, some of these are in person, but it's going in and finding all of this data on everything to do with what my audience is doing. What are their search habits? What are their content consumption habits? What are their media consumption habits? What are they listening to? What are they reading? Which publications are they reading? Who are they following? Like, there's all of that too. Where's that? Sometimes I forget where we've put things, so I apologize. There's a lot of information. So this is how to actually submit it'll also tell you what kind of keynotes you should build based on what these events are looking for, what your expertise is, what is the gap in those. It'll write your pitch emails for you saying, hey, for your podcast, this is really cool. Let me quickly show you this. If somebody needs to jump off, I totally understand, but I'm going to show you really, really quick. It does this for the other ones too, but this one specifically is really cool because if you look at this, it'll show you what the topics are like it does for everything else. It'll tell you what the podcast is about. It'll tell you whether they accept guests, who some of their recent guests are, right? And what industry they're coming from, and how can you see more about this? So there's a website. There's also a contact email, and it's going to show me the last 5 episodes. The AI is already listening to these last 5 episodes for you. So if you're like, hey, I want to reach out to this person and, write me a pitch, right? And something that I didn't even get to show you guys is now we have a CRM tracking thing. So you can put people into your pipeline. So if you're reaching out to event hosts, podcast hosts, sorry, I'm going to blur your brains because there's a lot that I can't cover in an hour, but you can actually track who you're reaching out to. And we will, by the end of this quarter, have all of this automated as well. But for now, you can manually track it. So you're like, okay, start tracking. So it's going to, create an opportunity out of this, out of whoever I want to reach out to this podcast. And then I'm going to say, write my pitch. And the pitch that it writes, and you'll see this as soon as it finishes, processing, it's writing, because it's already going through those last 5 episodes. It's going through what the podcast covers, what their recent guests have talked about, and what gaps I can fill. It's going to put all that in my email. So I was talking to this podcast host at Level Up in October, somebody who's very active in the high level community, and I showed him this, and he was like, you will not believe how many ChatGPT written pitches I get in my inbox. And I can tell that they're ChatGPT written because they all sound the same, right? But he was like, if somebody sent me this, I'm not going to lie, it's going to trick me. I'm going to think that they did their homework. And now I'm worried because you're showing me this. So still listen to the podcast host. Let's not be that person and crush people's expectations that we're actually human. But it's going to do all the heavy lifting is what I'm trying to show you. And that's why it's taking a while. It's not just ChatGPT writing things out really fast for me. It's pulling in all the data it has on me, on this podcast, right? And so let's just see what it created. You have to, again, this is all going to be automated. So it is actually going to fill in the name too. But for now, it's expecting you to do that. It's already given you the information. It's actually, his name is right here. Oh no, that's a guest name, sorry. I've been listening to How I Raised My First Million, podcast name, and I loved your recent episode with, I don't even know who this is, but that's the data that it found, that this person was just interviewed. Your conversation about how you built the Nectar brand from the ground up with only $20,000 by focusing on blah, 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 really stood out to me.
That's so good. That is so good because I know exactly what that person was talking about, whoever it was, because I get these emails all the time. And I literally was thinking if I received an email and it started out like that, I would continue reading. But typically I get ChatGPT messages and I just delete them and block.
Exactly. And that's happening
So
a lot.
good. So good.
And that's just how it started. And by the way, he said the same thing. He was like, oh, you've already got my attention just because of the first, sentence.
Yeah.
So, okay. So then it goes in deeper, right? So the idea is it's trying to find the gap. It's telling the podcast host that I've already done my homework. I've listened to your podcast. This is what I love about it. By the way, Bridget, what do you think about this? So that podcast host also told me one of the things that podcast hosts in general struggle with is getting reviews. So the AI already knows about you. It already knows about the gap. It already knows what you are going to like about what they've done. It's going to create the review for you as well. You're going to be able to edit it. That's not there yet, but that's what we're building. You're going to be able to post that right before you send them a pitch.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a win-win, right? Like
Yeah.
podcast hosts are going to be like, not only did they go through and do their homework,
Yeah.
they're actually giving me a good review. Like, why wouldn't I want to talk to this person?
Yeah, because if you're trying to get somebody's attention who is constantly receiving attention, you're going to have to stand out in some way. And so if you stand out with a very catered email and you left a review, I mean, it would get my attention. Now I'm probably going to get a flood of reviews and emails just like this, but it would
But
definitely
Bridget,
get
you
my
said.
attention. I
Right.
love
So
it.
anyway, so not to read the entire email, you'll see that it's very, very in depth, but it talks about like why the story resonated with you, which again, ChatGPT is not going to know no matter how many conversations you've been having with it, right? This is what I did. This is the mistake I made. It really resonated with me because I felt like I could see myself in this story. I remember my own turning point. That's why I'm now so focused on this. So like, this is how you introduce yourself. It's not about, hey, I do this. Can we get on a podcast together, right? A few conversation angles that I think your audience might really find valuable. Again, this is not about you, it's about what the podcast host is going to get from you and what value you can give their audience, right? So here are 3 things that I could do for your audience. I'd be happy to chat more about this if you think I'd be a good fit.
I love it.
And it does this for everything, for your publications. It will write articles based on what these third-party blog sites are looking for, what their requirements are, and then write your pitch email as well.
It's great because I love when you were talking about the searching in the large language models because that is the new Google, like you were saying. So that's where people are searching for services and things like that. So that part's phenomenal. And then even still too, when it pulls together all of those places that the customers are going to be, especially for me, I think about paid advertising. So then it helps me understand what are direct paid advertising dollars and whether that's sponsorships or publication ads or whatever. So then that's phenomenal. And then on the back end, it's a baby PR firm, like because that's what that is. So
Exactly. That's exactly what it
that's
is. And we
phenomenal.
have a few PR agencies reaching out to us going, we always knew that AI was going to come for us,
Yeah,
but
yeah. But it did. Yeah, it has.
But
Yeah.
yeah, to kind of finish what we were talking about, it builds out. So the agents first like take everything that you told it about your story. It'll map out your story, your expertise, your unique value, your narrative, like all of this, your notable achievements, milestones. It does all of that in your brand profile, and we are going to be improving this even more this week. Actually, this is something we're actively working on, making it even better and pulling in even more detail and nuances from your story. So it builds all this first, uses this to go back into to find information about what your target audience is looking for. It actually does these two in parallel. And then it uses these two, the data that comes back from these two, which is why you can build your personal brand website, because it returns these two things within the first 5 to 10 minutes it's done. Right? So while you're even updating your settings and uploading your media into the media library, it's already done these two. And now it's going off and doing these things, which are going to be a lot more, like it's going to take more time for it to find the rest of these. The events and keynotes is what takes the longest. And that's kind of why it's also built like this. So it's really meant to be like a waterfall where it's doing the top part first and then it's, yeah. So it's building, each one is building on the other. And the way these automatically run is if you don't update so specific survey answers are linked to specific things here. So if you don't change your offer strategy, this isn't going to keep running every week. What will run every week is your ICP research, like what their search terms are, because that's going to change no matter what you're changing in your survey. Podcasts, publications, and events are the things that run automatically. Your brand profile, your monetization strategy are not going to trigger and run with your next agent run unless you change those relevant answers in your survey, and then it'll pick it up on its next run. If that makes sense.
Yep. Love it. Love it. Good job, Raheen and
All
Kunal.
right. Well, thank you so much. Well, Kunal had to jump off into another call, but thank you so much for having us. This was super fun.
Yes, it was awesome. Thank you so much for the information and for just sharing your experience in a digital way. It's like we're hiring Ruheen to manage our brands for us because she created a software. That's awesome.
That's the
I love it.
intention.
All right, guys.
All right.
No more questions. No more urgent things that you need to ask Raheen or myself before we go. Oh, I see. Stacy? Martina? Okay. Just wanted to be
I'm just
available.
grinning. I'm just grinning right now. I'm just grinning from ear to ear. I'm not going to sleep again this weekend. Thank you both so very much.
You're very
Mart
welcome. That's exactly what I love to do.
Martina's the brand master. Charles is the speaker, so I knew they would be super excited about this
Extremely.
more than anyone else. So, all right.
Extremely.
Thank you.
Thank you guys
You're very
so
welcome. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you,
Yes.
everyone else as well. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys think tomorrow during our session. So go through that GPT. Really, seriously do it. It doesn't take that long. You can lay in bed and talk into your phone if you need to. But it's really, really worth it. I mean, that alone is worth it, but you're going to start geeking out once you do that and you see all the other stuff. You're gonna be geeking out, but I want to share in the geeking with you. So let me know tomorrow how it all goes. Thank you all so much for joining me again. Have an awesome day. Go make your vision a reality. Bye.